We are on to topic 22 and 23, calculated insights and streaming insights. So for calculated insight, it's a tool in Data Cloud that queries, transforms, and creates complex calculations based on stored data. The calculated insight object is a data model object created after a calculated insight is processed. Calculated insight objects can be viewed in Data Explorer. The Insights Builder is a tool that allows users to create insights with limited knowledge of SQL. I guess I should say a tool that allows users with limited knowledge of SQL to create insights. Structured query language, pronounced as either SQL or SQL. SQL is a query language used for accessing and modifying information in a database. Insights are created using SQL in Data Cloud. An expression is a SQL expression or statement. A measure is an aggregated value of attributes like a customer's total amount spent or an average order amount. I'm going to show these in the org in a moment. Dimension is a qualitative value used to categorize a measure. For example, if you want to see every customer's total amount spent, the customer ID could be a dimension associated with the measure of the total amount spent. So another way to think of this is if you're familiar with Salesforce reports and we can group the rows, the dimensions are the groupings. And then the measures, if you hide the detail rows and have a sum, the measure would be the sum for that grouped value. And in a report, we can have up to 3 grouped values. That would be like dimensions. And then the calculations would be the measures. And then a node is a UI option found in the Insights Builder after selecting objects. Ntile is a rank analytical function that distributes query results into a specified number of buckets and assigns the bucket number to each row in the bucket. Now, moving on to a different topic slightly, which is streaming insights. These are calculations and queries based on near real-time data. Streaming insights can be used to create data actions. So different from calculated insights, which do complex calculations on stored data, a streaming insight is going to be monitoring for certain kinds of events that happen as the data is streaming in so that action can be taken. So for example, fraud could be detected by a credit card company. Something like that would be a streaming insight. Latency considerations was mentioned. For example, in streaming insights, the minimum aggregation window is 5 minutes, so the latency for a data action initiated by a streaming insight could be 5 minutes or more. So it's not immediate. There's a bit of a delay or a latency consideration. So just to show this briefly, we're on the Calculated Insights tab. We created a case count of unified individuals in one of the hands-on projects. And so what we see here are the details. This one is not scheduled. Here's its name, and it's a calculated insight. We look at the expression, and here is that SQL query that got built when we went through the graphical user interface to drag and drop elements, and behind the scenes this SQL statement was being written. And we have output here which shows that there are 2 dimensions, and remember that's like the grouped rows. So we are grouping on the unified individual, and within that on the case status. And the measure that we're getting, the metric, is the count of case IDs per individual per status. So we can see here how we built it in the graphical user interface by creating joins and an aggregate function. Don't want to make any changes here, just want to show that the dimensions are listed here. Unified Individuals ID is one grouping, and within that we also are grouping by case status, and we are counting case IDs for each of these groupings. So the result, when we look in the Data Explorer tab and we say, show me, and this shows you all the things you can look at in Data Explorer: data lake object, data model object, calculated insight, or data graph. In this case, we want to look at a calculated insight. This is the name of the calculated insight. I've sorted by unified individual. So when we look down to here, we see this is the same unified individual, and it's telling us for closed cases they have 3, and for new cases they have 1.